Hello, St. Thomas Academy, and welcome to the Cadet Football Show. My name is Mike Maxwell. I'm your host, and to my left is head football coach Travis Walch. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yep. Good to be back again for week number 9 of the show. So congratulations on a good win last Friday, 35-7 victory over Apple Valley. Give us your thoughts on the game.
Had some concerns going into the week, which pretty much shared with our team and our coaches. We had a lot of guys sick throughout the week, right. And if you said, well, is there a time for it to happen? You never want it to happen. But we had 48 guys that practiced out of 81 on Tuesday, and we had 53. And part of it is getting ahead of it and just saying, guys, if you have a sore throat, if you have a fever, we're better off not having you here right now, even if it means missing practice, to try to be healthy by the time Friday rolls around. So we knew there was some concerns. We weren't ball secure in practice. It was not the best practice week. It really wasn't. But the effort and the energy was there on Friday night. The execution wasn't always there, and it's not always going to be there. Right. But if you have the effort and you have the energy, which I thought our team did, I thought our team at times had it more than our coaches throughout the week, and that's something that I've challenged our coaches with this week. And the setup for this week is our kids do a really good job of following our lead. We've got to make sure that our lead is with energy and with intent and making sure we're sharp with the plan.
Yeah, for sure. So that second quarter seemed to take forever. I was watching it at home, and a ton of penalties on both sides of the ball. Was that a case of the refs just being a little flag happy, or was that sloppy play, or what do you think that was a result of?
Well, a little of both. I had mentioned you right before we got in here. I thought there were 9 or 10 flags that could have been thrown at the point of attack that we cut out. And I never want to make it seem like the officials, aren't doing their job. They're doing the best job they can.
For sure.
And I value what they do very much. I would say we were really sloppy with some of our blocking and tackling, and when both sides are doing that, I think at times even officials have to go, yeah, it was probably, but we're going to give them a warning on this one. Let's try to get this game back in rhythm. Right. And if there's one thing I'd say we didn't have the other night, I think what you're saying is, you're asking me is like, it just didn't feel like a normal rhythm of a game that we've had.
Yep. For sure. Second quarter for sure, and then that even spilled into the third quarter a little bit. It just kind of continued on, maybe less penalties, but again, a little bit of that sloppy play, which actually neither team scored in that third quarter. So I thought the defense played well against the run, but did allow 200, and at least with the stats I saw, 245 yards through the air. Does that give you some, by the way, that's the highest all year, I'm sure you're aware of that. Does that give you any concerns as you head down the road towards the playoffs?
Well, if our game plan going in, and especially once you build that lead, is do everything we can to suffocate them in a manner in which, in the process of doing that, you might give up a quick score? My answer is no. I think we've talked about this a couple different times throughout the year, is have to be willing to give up something. What we don't want up 35-0 or 28-0. We don't want quick scores at that point. We've done our job on the front end. Let's make them earn it all the way down the field. Again, what we were disappointed is, and we've seen this pop up a couple times throughout the year, is you just can't have penalties. You've done your job. You've got off the field on fourth down, but a penalty extends the drive, or a third down. And then we saw it on the flip side of offense, where I think we were in a situation where we were 1st and 30, and it's not where you want to be. The one thing I did say to the guys is, you haven't been in this situation. Let's see how we respond. So all we can ever do is say, how are we going to respond? It's what we're going to be built on, and we don't want to be in a 1st and 30 or 1st and 35. But it's where we were at. And overall, on a week that provided some challenges, our kids played hard. They played together, and we were able to get a victory. And at the end of that game, for about the last 9 minutes, we were able to get some different bodies in there, which is also important this time of year. So overall, I was still very proud of the kids, and the people in the inner circle knew that there were some nerves on my end about this game, just based on how our practice week went. So just thankful that they still came out and performed.
Yeah, definitely. And your offense continues to click along. They matched their season average of 35 points, 317 rushing yards by 6 different backs, and I think that kind of lends into what you were talking about. Some other kids getting some time, and I just want to point this out: a beautiful 49-yard run by Nico. He hit the hole right and just sailed down the sideline. So that was fun to see.
Yeah, and not to interrupt, but when you start saying, well, 6 different people rushed for somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 yards, well, there is a common theme. There's a really good O-line in front of all of those 6 backs.
Yep.
All the 6 backs have different skill sets, things they're good at.
Yep.
The one consistent theme are the 5 guys in front of them that are on the O-line, as well as your tight end group. And let's not forget that while Nico is running, Savion and or Ari and our wide receiver group is blocking. And that is one place where I had mentioned last week, we're just not at the point where we're finishing. We had a lot more guys down at level 3, wide receivers, O-linemen, running, and on the run that Nico had, we actually had 2 O-linemen at about 15 to 18 yards downfield. And we had Luke Dobbs on the backside doing exactly what we tell him, which is every block's a touchdown block when you're on the backside of a run play.
Yep, absolutely. Great point. Let's talk about our MVPs of the game. Let's start with the scout team.
Yeah, so scout is Thomas Wicks. He's a sophomore that's done a lot of different things for us. And again, we said last week it was Bert Zelani. The D-line group, just, if I say there was a group this year as a whole that I thought has been our best in terms of hustle and all that, and the way that they operate on a day-to-day basis, I would say it's our D-line group. I really like what our coaches are doing there, and Thomas becomes a product of helping us out on both lines, actually. So he's also, we put him into the mix of doing some stuff with our PET field goal. So what I really like about what's happening with the 10th grade right now, he's a really good O-lineman. They've been able to cross him over and use him on the D-line. And now we're able to, with some of, 8 to 10 of our top sophomores, we're starting to plug them into some special teams to add some more depth there. So nice. Thomas Wicks.
All right, sounds good. How about the Cadet Award?
Cadet Award is going to go to 2 guys, and it's not just on the football side of it. It is in one case because Michael Korf is a guy he's had some injuries. And we also said this is a guy that could be the scout of the week this week. I want to recognize 2 guys that have helped us on top of being on the team. They've done a lot with our managers when they've been injured, and Michael Korf is one of them. When he's injured, he has also been a filmer for us and done a lot of things in terms of our practice operations to help our managers. And a young man named A.J. DeMoe, who's a transfer here from Lakeville North, not eligible to play varsity because he's transferred in, but also has been injured and has been on site for everything that we have done. So this week, just want to tip the cap to all the people operationally that allow this thing to work, which would include our managers as well, which would be Michael Grady, Isabella Grady, and Nora Kane.
Great. How about on offense?
O-line.
All right.
Across the board, we repeatedly see backs into level 2 without getting touched, and it's a product of our O-line and what those guys have done. They've been together a long time. It's a core group of 5 seniors, which you don't get a lot.
Right.
And they are doing what we need, not only in the run game, but being able to protect and give Max time to throw.
For sure. How about on defense?
Defense, Patty Emerson. So we had we lost Hunter Carver this week to an injury, and so what you always got to say is, what I always say is, you lose a really good football player. It's not like we can't run someone else out there. Right. The spot is not void, right? But you also have to challenge guys that are stepping into a role and saying, well, how are you going to respond? Patty had 3 sacks this week. That's a season for some guys. And he did it from going from a backup role, and he was always rotating a lot. But he got put into a role now where you're starting again, and he had started for us in the past. What a response. Okay. Nice. He was starting for a while. We moved him to a backup. He just continued to do what he does. He gets thrust back into that role, and he comes out with 3 sacks.
Nice. And then how about on special teams?
So special teams very well could have been our defensive player of the week and hustle, but it's Christian Circioglu, and really coming into his own and giving us a lot of things. But part of the reason was he's involved in more than one special teams. He's become a starter, a spot starter for it at times with Hank Stevican being injured and with Andrew Most being injured. We got him doing special teams. Everyone's saying he should be the hustler of the week. And he just does a lot of things for us. And so we wanted to honor him with that this week. And frankly, he could have been the special teams award winner more than 1 week.
Right.
And it's just one of those times to say this is the right week for him and recognize that he's doing a lot for our football team right now.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's switch gears a bit. How about a little update on the lower level grade teams?
Yeah, so last week, we'll start with JV. Just had a really exciting win on Saturday. Ended up winning 21-20. Team ended up going for 2 to try to win the game at the end. We were able to hold that.
Nice.
And on top of it, we had 6 minutes left on the clock. And you've heard me say this a lot. Can our group, no matter what team it is, run the ball when everyone knew we needed to run the ball?
Right.
We had to get 3 first downs to end the game. We ended up getting 2 of them by running the ball for 8 plays in a row. We had to use all 4 downs in the first down, all 4 on the second. And then the third, we ended up having a situation where we had 8 seconds left on the clock. We ended up running a play. We didn't get the first down. They got the ball back, and then we were able to hold them at the very end. But it started with holding them on a 2-point play.
Yeah.
So a big win for our JV.
Nice.
We did not have a 10th grade game this week. Apple Valley had a JV team, not a 10th grade team.
Okay.
9th grade got a huge win this week. And I'm really happy with Coach Krieger and that crew. Been building. They've had some tough losses, and now they get over that hump, and just really excited for that group to get the win and see how they can finish here. And middle school continues to roll. They both won. So our Team White Middle School, which is coached by Bill Lethert, will be in the championship game this week.
Okay.
Our other undefeated team will play in the 3rd and 4th place game this week because they can't play against each other.
Right.
And that is coached by Nick Vandenplas. And then hopefully we get a championship out of that thing, and then we get a 3rd place winner out of that thing. Everyone's asking, can we play them against each other? No, we're not going to play them against each other.
It's a good call.
Yeah, I've been told by the school, don't know it. No, just kidding. But no, just keeping things. We want these kids to be competitive, but we didn't think that'd be in the best interest of those teams. Let's finish it strong, and we're still trying to get one more game for each of them. Maybe against an Egan or someone else like that.
All right, good. Again, as we mentioned before, the future's looking good for cadet football. So we're back at home this week to take on Hastings. They are 2-4. They're coming off of a 42-7 loss to Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
What do we expect from the Raiders?
Well, they're going to, defensively, they've done a lot of different things, but this is one of the teams that we've played for a lot of years in a row. So I think, the beauty of having Coach Marks, Coach Abbott, Coach Z, Coach Hernandez, Coach McCarthy, all of these guys have seen Hastings for years. So it's easy for me to get on film and go, well, we haven't seen that in the last 2 games, but they have that history of 10 years going, but this is how Hastings plays us. Right. And these are the type of things that have worked against Hastings. So I'm really relying on them more than I'm necessarily relying on film right now to say, how do we want to attack these guys? We need to get better at things and stuff, and I'm hoping the next 2 weeks are going to be great ways in practice to identify what are things, because now we're at the point, I've mentioned this a couple times, we've seen about every defense you can see. Right. From a scheme standpoint. We have a good idea of who they are scheme-wise. Yep. We know what's been successful for us against those schemes, but we have to get really, really tight operationally with what we are doing and deciding as we go into this stretch run, who can this team be and what can we rely on? And that the focus is just going to be on us this week, getting tighter with things that we need to get better with. And I would love to say The focus has got to be on them. It's just not right now. We're not there yet. Yes, we clearly understand what their schemes are. Right. Will they present in some areas that I think are going to be really tough? They have 2 kick returns for touchdowns this year. They have some dynamic guys in the return game. They've had some good stretches against good teams like Maddaus where they had a chance to win that game. So football it's a funny sport. How things go in the first quarter, second quarter sometimes can really determine it. Weather this time of year can determine it. Who's ill, who's sick, what teams have had what happened at school. There's a lot of things. So we're just heavy focus on us this week.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing with Hastings is they always play us tough. Now the outcome doesn't always appear that way, but they get up for this game, right?
They should,
and as
and
most
we
people
should
do, and we should as well. So. So with the win last week, you're 5-1 on the season. You got 5 straight victories, feeling pretty good. Are you where you thought you would be at this point in the schedule?
I think, would I want to be 6-0? Yes. Do I think that what happened in week 1 helped us? It's easy to say that now, right? It's easy to say we needed that. I didn't want that to happen. I remember sitting there thinking, am I going to have a job in week 2 around here? Seriously. And, but I'm not just saying things happened for a reason, but things happened, and I thought we responded well to them. And that's all I ever ask our coaches and players to do is, can we find ways to say yes? Can we respond to things well? So am I happy where we're at right now? I'm happy that we've progressed each week. And with every time we take a step back here and there, can we readdress that? A big theme on our calls over the weekend was we get what we emphasize. And we've certainly understood that we've emphasized certain things, but when you emphasize certain things, there's things that you're not anymore. Right. And there's this constant cycle of, well, what do we need to get better at? For instance, 2 weeks ago, we said, we need to identify formations better so our kids can get lined up and have a hard focus on what this play is what's going to happen in this play. Well, now we're saying we've put so much time and energy into that, we're not really happy with how we've been tackling. So now we've got to draw back and go, what's that balance between doing too much of that? Because you can only emphasize so much. And what our focus is what do we need to emphasize on this week? Because we usually get what we emphasize.
Right, for sure. So not to get too far ahead of things, there are 2 other teams in your section that are also 5-1, Bloomington Jefferson and 2 Rivers. And so in terms of section seeding, what does our team need to do in order to set itself apart, assuming that each team continues on in that path?
Yeah.
What does it need to do to set itself apart to get the best seed possible?
We need to win the next 2 games.
Well,
I mean that's where it starts, and we can't control what other teams are doing. And the one thing that our section decided is we are not going to do the QRF rankings. We are going to go by coach vote. Okay. And I think the real drive behind that was simple. In the past, QRF makes a ton of sense if we're all playing each other throughout the season. Right. But we're no longer all playing each other. So it's harder to say everyone's schedule is the same because it's not. Right. Now, when we say Apple Valley last week, when we say Hastings this week, most of our section teams have played Apple Valley and Hastings. So can we look at comparative scores in those type of games? Absolutely. That's got to be part of that vote. Okay. Are all the teams in the section playing Chaska? Nope. Are they all playing Andover? Nope. So we have to show and perform well against the teams that the other teams in our section are all playing. And that's why Apple Valley is such a big game to win convincingly, and that's why we need to play really well against Hastings because they would have played a lot of the other teams in our section.
Right. All right. That sounds good. Well, we'll look forward to not only this game, but the season finale against Chaska. So, Coach, thanks for taking some time to talk a little Cadet football today. Good luck on Friday. Or excuse me, good luck on Thursday.
Correct.
Right? Yeah,
and it is senior night. I don't want to throw this whole thing for a loop, but it is a great chance. There's 2 things going on. We honor our seniors. It's just why in football senior night is such a special night, because this group of guys and their families has committed to 4 years, right? And for many of them, it's many, many years. But what a beautiful night to say thank you for that commitment. And it is a big commitment. It's not just getting them to the practices and watching the games. It's the workouts, and it's the Father's Club and all these dads that have helped for so many years. It's this culmination of everything, and it needs to be emotional. It should be emotional. There's a lot of time and energy that goes into this stuff. And on top of that, we're also going to be doing a youth football night. So we will be inviting all of our middle school kids and all the local communities that are affiliated with STA football and beyond to be here on Friday night, so they can be out on the field with the guys. Sorry, Thursday night, so they can be out on the field with the big boys and see what that's like.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks for adding that. So our cadets will play the Hastings Raiders on Thursday evening here at STA in Jerry Brown Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. It is, as always, it is recommended that you purchase your tickets online in advance, and we'll have the link below for you. If you are unable to attend but would like to watch, we will be broadcasting at cadetbroadcast.com. Again, we'll have that link for you below. And then we'll be back next week to break down the Hastings game and look forward to the season finale against the Chaska Hawks. Thanks for watching, and go Cadets.